The post office said I've been receiving packages under 14 different names. The postal clerk showed me a list on his computer screen while other customers lined up behind me. Each name variation slightly different, but all going to my apartment address. Sarah Coleman, S. Coleman, Sarah Coleman, and 10 other permutations I'd never used or seen. Ma'am, this triggered our fraud alert system, he explained quietly. We need to verify which names you're legally authorized to receive mail under. My stomach dropped as I studied the list, recognizing none of the variations except my actual name. I'd come in to pick up a single package that required signature, but apparently had stumbled into something much larger. I only use Sarah Coleman, I said firmly. I have no idea what these other names are about. The clerk's expression suggested he'd heard similar denials before from people running credit card scams or identity theft rings. He asked me to step aside while he called his supervisor, leaving me to wonder who was using my address for what could only be illegal purposes. The postal inspector who arrived 30 minutes later was all business, showing me photographs of packages that had been delivered to my address over the past 6 months. High-end electronics, designer goods, even pharmaceutical shipments from Canada, all addressed to variations of my name I'd never ordered. Someone had been using my apartment as a drop point for what looked like a massive fraud operation. Have you noticed packages you didn't order? Inspector Martinez asked, documenting everything. Not a single one, I replied honestly. I work from home. I would have seen deliveries, but the postal records showed dozens of packages successfully delivered and signed for, often during hours when I was definitely home. The signatures varied, but were all attempting to look like mine. The investigation intensified when we returned to my apartment building. The property manager pulled security footage that should have shown these deliveries, but the cameras had mysteriously malfunctioned during every single delivery window. Maintenance reported finding them manually disconnected and reconnected after each incident, suggesting someone with building access was involved. That's when I remembered Ethan, the maintenance supervisor who'd been extra friendly since my divorce last year. He had master keys to every apartment, knew everyone's schedule, and always seemed to appear whenever I had packages delivered. I thought he was just being helpful, maybe even interested romantically, but now his attention took on a sinister cast. Inspector Martinez had the postal service run a deeper check and discovered the scheme was more elaborate than simple package theft. The items were being ordered using stolen credit cards, delivered to my address under false names, then retrieved before I ever saw them. But who was retrieving them if they never made it to my apartment? The answer came when we checked the building's package room footage from different angles. Ethan had been telling delivery drivers that certain residents had authorized him to accept packages on their behalf due to work schedules. He'd sign for them, store them in the maintenance office, then sell them through online marketplaces. My address was just one of 12 he was using throughout the building. The scope of his operation was staggering. Over $200,000 in merchandise had been trafficked through our building over 6 months. Ethan had specifically chosen residents who traveled frequently or worked long hours, minimizing the chance of detection. He picked me because my ground floor apartment had easy access, and I'd mentioned working from home with headphones on during video calls. But Ethan had made a crucial mistake. One package contained prescription medications that required DEA tracking. When those pills surfaced on illegal marketplaces, federal investigators got involved, tracing them back through the delivery chain to our building. Ethan was already under surveillance when I'd walked into the post office. The arrest happened that afternoon while I watched from my window. Federal agents swarmed the maintenance office, removing boxes of evidence while Ethan was led away in handcuffs. The building's basement storage area contained thousands of dollars in stolen goods waiting to be sold, all traced back to various residents' addresses. The resident meeting that evening was chaos. 12 apartments had been used as unwitting drops for criminal operations. Some residents had noticed strange charges on their credit reports. Others had received late payment notices for accounts they'd never opened. Ethan had been using our personal information gleaned from maintenance, requests, and casual conversations to fuel his fraud empire. The most disturbing discovery came when investigators found Ethan's computer. He had detailed files on every resident, including daily schedules, shopping habits, financial information he'd gathered from mail he'd illegally accessed, and notes about who would make the best targets. My file was particularly extensive, with photos taken inside my apartment during maintenance visits and notes about my post-divorce vulnerability. The federal case revealed Ethan was part of a larger ring operating across multiple buildings in the city. He'd been recruited specifically because of his maintenance position, given training on how to exploit resident trust and building access. The seemingly friendly supervisor had been a planted criminal from day one. Recovery took months. Every resident had to freeze credit, change locks despite building protests, and deal with the paranoia of knowing someone we trusted had violated our homes. I testified at Ethan's trial, where he received 8 years in federal prison for mail fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy charges. The building implemented new security protocols, but the trust was permanently broken. 6 months later, I still flinch when packages arrive, still wonder who else might be watching, cataloging, planning. The 14 names attached to my address were cleared, but the violation of having my identity fractured and used without my knowledge left scars that no conviction could heal. Sometimes the most dangerous criminals aren't the ones breaking down doors, but the ones we hold doors open for.